Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, September 8th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Thank you very much for joining me yesterday afternoon for our PivotBoss monthly market outlook. We went about an hour and 20 minutes strong, had a ton of charts we looked through, and also talked a ton of ideas. If you want to watch that recording, you can click in the link in the description below, and you'll get that recording right away. If we take a look here at the ES in the daily time frame right now, one of the things we mentioned yesterday, especially in the monthly market outlook, was that given the downtrend that we're seeing right now, and given the strength here that we saw yesterday ahead of today's Fed Chair Powell and ahead of today's initial jobless claims, were we going to see this as a failed rally opportunity? Are we going to see a failed new high and return back to the midpoint of yesterday's range, or perhaps even become a bearish outside day? As of right now, there's been rejections at the previous session's high. Price pushed through it in the wee hours of the pre-market trade and rejected. And since then, retests from below have been rejected multiple times over the last several hours. We have a very narrow range right now, 33% of ADR heading into the RTH open, and that is ahead of Fed Chair Powell speaking 20 minutes before the RTH open, and that could impact prices quite a bit. If we take a look here at the one-day range, 33% of average, very narrow right now going into the RTH open. And again, given the downtrending price action that we've seen, given this massive sell-off here over the last few weeks, this failed new high right now could lead to a big opportunity to return it back to the midpoint and perhaps even become an outside day down in the most bearish scenario. Now, from a bullish perspective, if price pulls back here and can find some strength and can stay above the previous month's low and close, that could provide a checkmark trend day up, and that could be rather bullish. However, this market has been mostly failed new highs in a downtrend. That's been what we've seen much of lately. For example, failed new high in a down move, failed new high in a down move, another one here in a down move, and here we're starting to develop the next one. So again, if price can't manage to find a way to push through 39.90, that could open up a continuation back down as this market approaches the previous quarter's close and the June FOMC key level below. So Fed Chair Powell could provide some volatility here very, very soon. If we take a look at the NQ, similar price action, narrow range heading into the RTH open, 40% of ADR. Right now, price rejecting the previous session's high, rejecting the previous month's close, and we're starting to push down a bit. We've had lower highs coming into the 12 to 90 level, and that could lead to weakness back toward the previous session's midpoint of 12,113. We could even become a bearish outside day again in the most bearish scenario. Something like this, perhaps, something like that day, something even similar to this, where it's rejecting the highs of the previous session and then driving back down through that previous day's range within the direction of the current trend. So right now we could be looking at further weakness up ahead. We could be looking at a further rejection of the previous session's highs back toward the previous session's midpoint at the very least. Again, Fed Chair Powell will provide some volatility here very soon. But overall, given the trend that we're seeing right now, the expectation is for a continuation back toward the previous quarter's close. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil now. You'll notice right here, crude oil had a tremendous breakdown in the previous session. Huge breakdown day, over 125% of ADR for the day's range. That break came at the 86 market structure level, major CLVN. It also took the previous January FOMC key level offered from below, hit it from below, offered, and then dropped. It's the first time because it's been bid all year long. So that's a significant break. If you look here, one of the things we mentioned before is the previous year's close is right here. And that's basically where the market started to rally here in January and then in February with the invasion of Ukraine. Now we're walking this thing all the way back down. The break here at major support suggests we're still working our way down back toward that 75 to walk down the range from January. Once we hit that level, perhaps we can bounce back up and trade back toward 86. So right now we could be looking at further weakness ahead. Today, a little bit of a fade after trend day. scenario developing here. We may bounce a little bit back up, but expect bears to defend the bounce, perhaps as high as 84s, for a continuation down overall. So right now we are in a very bearish move, a break of major market structure, and the idea is until it can pop back above 86s, we're likely headed lower toward that 75 edge. Once we reach 75s, we could be looking at a bounce back toward 86 for a major test. So right now, showing quite a bit of weakness is crude oil. Taking a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now showing the ability to hold at the moment. Right now it's barely hanging on to the previous quarter's close and low. It put new lows in for the year at 18,360 yesterday, but remain in a very bearish downtrend. You can see the 8-period average right now remains resistance, and we have barely hit it here, dropping. It's been a very clear downtrending mode right now. But we're at the edge. We're at a major edge in this chart, and if this edge doesn't hold, there's not much there to catch it down below. You have to really make a move through this narrow LVN to get to 14K, maybe to 12.5. Perhaps we get all the way back to value, 9,300. So we've had a major edge here. We've had a very lazy rally and a big time rejection back down. A break here, very much like crude oil, could lead to a big quick drop and maybe a ricochet back up. But again, watching the edge, watching 18K here for the potential of a break at some point. If we take a look at ETH futures, this one's up 3.25% right now. Ethereum's done quite a bit better from a bullish perspective than Bitcoin. It is pushed back above that 1400 level, which is a major market structure edge. 1300 is a significant CLVN, and you can see how it's held that zone on multiple tests. Yesterday, this thing dropped. It looked pretty significant to the downside and then turned around and rallied back through the previous session's midpoint. And right now we have ourselves kind of a range here that's developing, which still has a short-term down move, but at the same time it's holding that edge. If, like Bitcoin, we break through this edge though, it opens up a major retest back at lows, and that could provide a major lower low rejection for a bounce up to come. So again, keeping an eye on 1400 as a major edge here for ETH. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the RTH session. Again, Fed Chair Powell due to speak here at 8:10 a.m. Central, and that could provide quite a bit of volatility the rest of the session. All right, that's it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the day. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.